You're listening to the Behind Ears podcast, because everybody does Disney differently. The Behind Ears podcast crew would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support. If you have a little one and you're going to Walt Disney World, you're going to need a stroller. I'll tell you what, KingdomStrollers.com is the place where you want to look into. I'll tell you, I've destroyed my fair share of strollers while at Walt Disney World, and those things are not cheap. But getting something from KingdomStrollers.com, they'll be able to help you pick out the perfect stroller for you. And the nice part is that because they're a Disney preferred provider, they'll be able to drop it off and pick it up right from your Disney resort at no extra charge. So if you don't want to necessarily destroy your stroller in the process and you want to have a great Disney vacation with your little one, contact KingdomStrollers.com and they'll set you right up. That's KingdomStrollers.com. Do you want to save around 40% off Disney's prices for deluxe on-property accommodations? Contact DVC-rental.com. They help out Disney Vacation Club owners rent out points that they're not going to use. These points mean savings for you on your next trip at Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Vero Beach, Florida, and Hilton Head Island in South Carolina. The DVC member books everything in your name, just like any other reservation. And if you ever decide that you want to become a DVC member, you can check out our sister company, BuyAndSellDVC.com. As a licensed realtor, they sell DVC contracts for members at a savings of 30 to 40% off Disney's prices. And if you're looking to sell your contract, BuyAndSellDVC.com has one of the industry's lowest commissions at only 6.5%. Again, that's DVC-rental.com for your rental needs, and BuyAndSellDVC.com to buy or sell into the Disney Vacation Club at a large discount. And make sure you tell them that the Behind Ears podcast crew sent you.
Attention wizards and witches. The Expedition Roasters head roastmaster is pleased to announce the release of 4 new wizarding brews. Are you charming and courageous, book-smart and brilliant, big-hearted and kind, or possibly cunning and ambitious? You may have to try all 4 to find out which house roast you belong to. So cast a transporting spell over to Expeditionroasters.com to begin your journey. And don't forget to continue your adventure with our large selection of pop culture-inspired themed coffees. There's always an adventure in every bag. Behind the Ears podcast fans, be sure to use the code EARS20 for 20% off your first order. That's EARS20 at Expeditionroasters.com. Brew, your happy place.
Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic, super crazy episode of the Behind Ears podcast. How's everybody doing tonight? I am your host, Mr. Chris. I got to tell you, Uncle Danny is on special assignment. He is playing Santa Claus tonight. That's right. He is actually stuck delivering tons and tons and tons of packages. He actually told me a couple hours ago, dude, I ain't going to make it. He goes, I've got a ton of packages I still have to deliver. He goes, it's just not going to happen. I said, hey, that's fine. I get it. Not a problem. I love doing solo shows, but I also love doing shows with our fans as well. Tonight we have a special episode, and I've got a special guest joining us. In the past we've done different shows with, Uncle Danny, trying to help him plan his trip. And, his big thing is he likes to do fast passes at the last minute. So we always try to figure out, what are we going to do for Danny's fast passes? Well, you know what? We're going to try something different. I decided that, tonight, instead of a typical show, we're going to do something non-typical. We're going to have a listener help, we're going to help our listener live on the show figure out how to get the best bang for her buck, the best choices for her particular vacation. And we're going to do it right here on the show. I don't know what kind of questions she's going to ask. I'm sure, I've given her about an hour to figure out questions to ask me. And we've got a wonderful community that can help this person with her Disney trip planning. It's one of those things where, hey, a lot of people have questions and answers. This is going to be live one-on-one support. And let me go ahead and bring her on here. I'm going to click a few little buttons here. And her name is Pam, and she's going to be joining us right here. Pam, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Oh, hey, I'm doing great. We've got a cast of, well, dozens. And I just want to just give a shout out to everybody who's joining us. We've got a lot of people actually joining us from Walt Disney World tonight. And they're saying it is very cold out there, which I actually find to be a little bit humorous if you ask me, because, you know, to a lot of those people, they're saying it's really cold. And to me, I'm like, it's not cold. It's still shorts weather. But hey, to each their own. I totally get it. So first off, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody? Tell us who you are, and tell us about what you think is going to be like when you're going to be doing your next trip, and maybe some just general outline of what you're hoping to get out of this conversation tonight.
Sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Pamela. I'm a retired Air Force veteran. Retired last year. I'm also a single parent, and am looking to have my annual or biannual Disney trip coming up, hopefully Halloween-ish next year. Me and my daughter just got back from one in May of this year. We did the Land and Sea package. I went through a travel agent. I just didn't have, I guess the best rapport. So I'm looking to either maybe book with somebody else or do this, my own planning. So
Sure.
That's just kind of the short line of it.
Okay, that sounds good. So I'm going to grab a piece of paper here, because I'm sure that even I'm going to have to take some notes and in regards to what we're going to be talking about, because I want to try to keep our conversation somewhat in check. I mean, by all means, I really want to actually make sure that we cover all grounds. So let's talk a little bit first at the idea of what kind of timeline are you looking at? Like for what season, around what month, and for about how many nights/days are you looking at doing with you and your daughter?
Well, preferably Halloween. We've actually never gone during a major holiday. Summer's out of the question. I don't want to do spring. So either Halloween or Christmas, but I think my daughter has made it pretty apparent that she wants to do Halloween this year or next year.
Okay. And for about how many nights?
See, that's where I'm not sure if I want to do the Land and Sea package again, or if I just want to do the sea or just the land. But probably at minimum, probably 5.
Okay.
4 or 5 nights.
4 or 5 nights. Okay. Now, would that 4 or 5 nights also include the sea portion of a trip if you decide to go with the land and sea type of package?
No, it would just be most likely the parks. But if we did the land and sea, it'll probably be a week and a half.
Okay.
Or longer, because we did the 3-day 2-night on the Dream in May. And I kind of want to do a more extended version of that. But that might have, the sea portion might have to be a completely different vacation in itself.
Okay, I can understand that. And I think for maybe just for our conversation's sake tonight, we'll go ahead and keep it focused on the land portion. I do love Disney cruises. I mean, it's one of those cases where it's like I would do a Disney cruise every year if I had the opportunity to do so. And it's one of those cases where I love the fact that I can go on to one of those cruises with $5 in my pocket, walk off with $5 in my pocket. You also go on as passengers, you come off as cargo. I mean, it's just so much fun. I love it. It's been a while since I've done one. Really got to do another one sometime soon. So, okay. So we're talking about fall. We're talking, kind of right in the beginning of the fall area, of 4 to 5 nights, we'll call it. Now, right off the bat, we have a lot of our listeners that are already chiming in about military discounts and
Right.
and possibly making sure you get the military tickets, major discounts there, possibly staying at Shades of Green, and also making sure to see if you can take part in the flag lowering event over at the Magic Kingdom.
Yes, I have wanted to do that. And I never know. I guess when the right time, or if it's only at a certain park. Yes.
It's my understanding that they only do the flag lowering ceremony at the Magic Kingdom, and so that's one of those things. And I would probably say talk to a cast member to see if there's something that you can do to be a part of that. I think that would be absolutely awesome. Is staying at Shades of Green one of the things that you would like to consider as a part of your trip plans, or are you thinking of something that's a little bit more Disney themed, so to speak?
Shades of Green's a possibility. I don't know what the prices would be like, and I don't know if they. So, and speaking of that, I do have the Disney Chase Rewards card. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they would take. I don't know if Shades of Green would take that Chase Rewards card.
Well, obviously you can use that to pay for your trip. That goes without saying. So the thing is that I do believe that if you want to take advantage of, like, say, the 0% for 0% for 6 months with no interest type of thing, it actually has to be a Disney resort. And in many cases, it has to be a package. Now, in the past, sometimes mine would actually show up when I would do cash reservations. It would actually show up with just the room. It would show up as a 0% for 6 months. However, I really don't have any specific info, although I do know that if you get basically a room and ticket package, it'll automatically show up, and you have to get that from an authorized Disney travel planner or Disney directly. Which most of the people that I think we know in general, in the agency that I would probably refer you to for such, would actually fall into that category.
Understood.
But the thing is that you'd still at least be able to pay for it with that. That should not be a problem.
Okay.
By the way, Christine also wants to say hi, and her hubby is also retired Air Force, and she just wants to give a shout out.
Tell him and I guess yourself, thank you for your service and his service. I know it's a sacrifice on everybody's part.
Absolutely. Let's see. I'm kind of throwing up here some different times to. Different comments. I'm looking at. People are throwing times is the word, and unfortunately, I'm having Freudian slips. Mary just wanted to mention that the flag ceremony is at 5 p.m. at the Magic Kingdom, and there's also a lot of people that are also chiming in and about Shades of Green. Alex mentions the Shades of Green is nice, and his dad is retired from the Air Force. He said it was nice, and his mom likes it too. Mary also says that she loves the Halloween party, and they also go twice a year, and they go to the party twice during her fall trip. So we'll get into that here in just a little bit. What resorts have you stayed at in the past?
So this is funny. My very first time coming to Disney World, I stayed off property at one of the discount hotels, and I learned very quickly to never do that again. So, I mean, it was awful. I walked in, there was mold all over the ceiling, and the carpet was completely soaked. So when you're walking, you hear squish, 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 and it was awful. But I did stay at the newly renovated Pop Century in May, and me and my daughter loved it.
Okay. And I haven't been to Pop Century since they have renovated it, but Danny has, and he actually said that it was really, really nice.
It was really nice.
So I was really glad to hear that. Pop needed a little bit of that refresh, especially since it's been so popular. The last value I stayed at over the past couple of years, actually, it was one, and it was also Art of Animation, which I really liked. I really liked Art of Animation. It's just not discounted all that often. And
it's not. Okay.
No. And speaking of discounts, Christine also wanted to mention, a lot of times for military discounts, it's like a 30% discount on value, 35% for moderate, 40% discount at the deluxe hotels. While also Brian mentioned, he says that Shades of Green is like $60 a night. But the thing is, it's my understanding that it actually depends on like your rank. So it kind of depends. It kind of varies depending on what your. It kind of depends on what you're going to do.
I'd be under retired.
Yeah, so you'd be under that. So it would have to be. It would have to be looked into as to what would be specific for your situation.
Understood.
So we'll have to go ahead and take that in consideration as well. So let me ask you this though: if you're going to make this as possibly a separate trip from a land and sea vacation, would you want to possibly get away from a value and try a moderate this time around?
I've heard good things about the the Polynesian, yes, but the animal. I'm drawing a blank right now. The one with the safari, the one with the animals.
Animal Kingdom Lodge, yes.
Yes. Sorry, it's late. Drawing a blank.
That's okay. That's okay. It's still a lot of fun. And which Animal Kingdom Lodge is like my favorite. I mean, out of all the resorts that I've stayed at in the last, several years, I think I've spent more time at Animal Kingdom Lodge than many others. I really enjoy it. And I'll be honest with you, I'll go ahead and give the shameless plug that if you were going to stay there or even Poly or any of the deluxe resorts that may also be incorporated with DVC, I would probably also consider renting DVC points, possibly from dvc-rental.com, mainly because I think, if you're going to stay at the Animal Kingdom Lodge, I really think that that's probably going to be a good value for your money. I mean, you could basically stay there at a deluxe resort for moderate money. And, I personally love it, and if you're gonna spend any time at the resort enjoying the resort, that's a resort to really look into. I really super duper like it, and I think your daughter would get a real big kick out of it as well, especially if she's a big animal fan.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Now, you have the option for seeing the animal, like having an animal or a safari view, or are there different types of views?
Yes, there actually are. The nice part is that they have different types of rooms, but you can get like a Savannah room. A Savannah view room is what it's called, which there's multiple savannas all around the resort itself, and basically in each savanna there's usually different types of animals. And so you would overlook one of those savannas. And, sometime early in the morning, the animals are actually brought into the savanna where they roam about naturally. And it's really nice. I love having coffee with giraffes. That's actually one of my... That's
now, are they able to come up to you?
They're not... There is kind of a break wall, so to speak, where they can't actually come up and interact with the guests. That would be really funny, though. With my luck, I would have a giraffe come up and go chomp my hat and like. I mean, they would see the giraffe on my hat and say, "Ooh, giraffe," and something like that. I think that would actually be pretty funny. Now, they also have standard view rooms. Now, here's the thing: standard view rooms, or as my son likes to call them, parking lot savannas.
Okay.
The thing is that they're okay, to be honest with you. They're not bad. They're still very nice rooms, and you get nice views, and you can see over, the parking lot, or the, like, last few times I've stayed, and we kind of overlooked where the buses were. Not a bad thing, if you ask me. But the thing is that there are plenty of areas at the Animal Kingdom Lodge to actually look at animals and to enjoy the animals even outside of your room. And so it's not like if you're not in a savanna room, it's not like you're not going to get to enjoy animals. There's plenty of viewing areas all throughout. For one of my favorite things to do is over at Kidani Village is that you can go over to the DVC Community Hall, regardless if you're a member or not. And they have a really nice, community hall area where you can do different things, different types of crafts, chill out, watch a movie for a little bit. It's a nice little place to decompress if you really want to know the truth. But they also have a really big patio where you can actually sit and watch the animals in one of the savannas.
Wow.
And it's really nice. So that's a lot of fun. But if you're going to do that, again, I would probably rent points from dvc-rental.com. And then, after the show,
rent points?
to rent points, rent DVC points. And we can actually, to tell you the truth, I'm gonna fill everybody else in on something right here, right now. I've already got it planned to have Scott from dvc-rental.com join us on our next show. And he would be able to answer a lot of questions in regards to that. So I won't go into it too much more as to give a little too much of a spoiler for the next show. But I do think that if that is something that interests you and your daughter, that is a show that you are not going to want to miss. What did I do with my pencil?
I do think that is quite interesting.
Yeah, I do think that I think it's something that, if you're going to want to go into the deluxe realm, I think you and your daughter, especially at her age, you would just eat that place up. I mean, it's going to be absolutely fabulous. So that's so that's for the room. And you want to go around Halloween. Have you thought about going to the Halloween party at all? Have you been to one of the Halloween parties or the Christmas party in the past? No?
I've never been during any holiday. I've always gone either May, June-ish. That's the time. Same time when I went to Disneyland and Tokyo Disney. It was always during, summer.
Okay. And, that's a very interesting thing to consider. You're going towards, a time that it's a different season, different types of crowds. Food and wine is also going to be around that time. And that's also really cool. And what a lot of people say is stay away from Epcot on the weekends during that time. That's just one thing to take in consideration, depending on what specific days. Justin, actually, going back to the DVC point thing, rental part, and I'll leave it here and we'll talk more about it afterwards. He basically said, we just rented DVC points for a studio in a Savannah View for 7 days for just a little over $1,000. And that is absolutely fabulous. So you can actually save some serious cash. That's just a great example of that.
That's my shocked face.
So, I mean, it's one of those things to definitely consider. And as I said, we will, without bouncing around too much, we will definitely talk a little bit more about that.
It is very intriguing. I'm very excited for the next show.
Absolutely. So the party, and do you wish to disclose how old your daughter is?
No, that's fine. She's a tween-ish, so she is 10. She's turning 11 in March.
Okay, so in other words, she's turning 16. No, hey, listen, my daughter is 24 now, and I remember that age, and it was a lot of fun. My daughter in fact, I just saw a picture, and she was in that age bracket. I'm like, oh my gosh, boy, do I feel old. Well, okay, I think that's great. Now, does she still like Halloween, so to speak, as a holiday?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. If she if she still likes that, she likes the trick or treating. She likes, she can even get into costume, all those types of things. The Halloween party, in my opinion, if you've never done it before, I think you need to take it into consideration, because it could be a lot of fun to do the Halloween party. And I would probably say, if, depending on which days of the week you will actually be there. I personally think, and from what other people have said, and I'm sure that the viewing audience tonight will tell me if I'm wrong. If you go to a party, go to one of the weeknight parties, like, Monday through Thursday type of thing, or Sunday through Thursday type of thing, because they tend to get a little less crowded. Going on the weekends is always going to be a prime time to go to those parties. So that makes sense. That's something to take into consideration. Actually, Mary also mentioned the parade and fireworks are worth the price of the party. So that's something to take into consideration.
Oh, so there's extra fireworks? There's different sets of fireworks?
I do believe that they have something like it's a themed fireworks type of thing. Okay. They kind of do it a little bit differently. At least they have in the past. It's been a while since I've actually been to the Christmas party, or excuse me, Halloween party, and the Christmas party for that matter. Now that I have snow on the ground outside, I kind of feel that way. So that's something to take into consideration. And of course, they do a lot of trick-or-treating, and a lot of people have had a lot of fun. And I think, it's one of those things. I'm going to go ahead and throw this up. Brunette was kind of asking regarding renting DVC points. Yes, you can still use even Magical Express to and from the airport. So that's also one of those things to take into consideration. Chris was saying that the Friday night parties were packed, kind of go along with what I was thinking. Mm-hmm. And Brian was even saying, you never forget trick-or-treating at the Magic Kingdom. And so no. I think that's cool. And yes, Mary did say there are special Hallow-Wishes only for the party.
Hallow-Wishes, I like that.
Yeah, it's cool. So, I want to see this. Alex said, Halloween party, he's gone. He says it's fun. I went as Jeff Hardy, the WWE wrestler. It was awesome. That actually sounds really super cool. I gotta see that. So let's see. And Wendy was also saying that the Boo to You parade is her favorite.
Boo to You.
The Boo to You parade. Hold on one second. So I just think, you're getting a lot of people here saying you definitely have to consider.
I'm trying to see all the. I want to see all the notes. There you go.
So yeah.
So you said something about the Magical Express. Mm-hmm. That option was given to us when we were at Pop Century to go to the cruise. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking at taking the train again because I've actually taken the auto train from Lorton, Virginia, down to
like the Sanford.
Sanford. Yeah. A few years ago, but I might not do the auto train, but just the regular train this time. Mm-hmm. Do you know if the Magical Express transports from the train station?
It does not. It only goes back and forth between Orlando International Airport and the Disney resorts. However, I know that one of our great community members and one of our men on the street, Chris Hiller, would actually say, hey, probably one of the best ways to get there from that train station is to grab an Uber.
Uber it up.
Yeah. And really, I got to be honest. Yep. See? Yep. What did I tell you? He says Uber. I was right. Do I know my friend Chris or what? So, and actually Brian says, hey, he loves the train. I would love to do the train, but it was like, the problem of it is that the way that our train works in this particular area, I would have to drive all the way into downtown Chicago to take it all the way back down south. And the funny part about it is that, the train would take 26 hours and I could actually drive it in about 20. So I'm like, no, I don't think so. But yeah, it kind of works out. But do you want to take the train because it's just a little bit more of a relaxing type of trip, or are you not really a flyer?
I do have some anxiety that I deal with from time to time. I'll be very open about that.
Okay.
So airports stress me out. Sure. And I do have some conditions that can be, and I'm going to mess this word up. I always do exacerbate.
Mm-hmm. Sure. No, I know. I can't say it either. I know.
Every time I mess up that word, due to anxiety, which can make my symptoms worse. I'm not saying that they're never bad, but so I try to keep myself in a mental, optimistic happiness as much as possible. Sure. And I enjoyed the train because it was not go like how life is on a normal everyday basis.
You can actually
and when I got to the train station, it was just go in, you check in, you give your ID. There's no major security. Then you just sit and relax. And then you get on the train, you sit and relax, and there's no rush. It's just, you can actually prop your feet up because the seats have, recliners, even if you don't get a bed. Okay. And you can plug your devices in. I just enjoyed that luxury, and they provide food. They provided the dinner and breakfast complimentary to your ticket. So it was just way more convenient.
That's actually really cool. I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize that there's more than one way to get down to Disney. And we always talk about, the fly versus dry conundrum. Fly versus drive. I'm having a hard time talking tonight. Conundrum. And, because last summer we flew because we had 5 of us. This year during our trips, we're going to drive because there's only going to be 3 of us. And we're also caravanning with some friends and stuff like that. It's going to be, we're going to have a blast with it. But not everybody, would even consider taking a train. But yeah, I can see where it would be nice, relaxing. You get to read, listen to music, spend time with your daughter, talking, really making memories during the trip. And, but you know what? Actually, my friend Jimmy over from the Disney Nerds podcast, he actually asks a good question. How easy is it to sleep on the train?
It's quite easy. So with Amtrak, when I did take the train, I actually took the auto train, and I don't know if you're familiar with what the auto train is, but you actually put your car on the train with you. Right. So it's really convenient. You don't drive, but when you get to your destination, the car is there. Right. So you're not racking up the miles. But with Amtrak, it's a split level. You have the bottom and the top. Right. The top, to me, with the auto train, was loud and noisy and chaotic. There's a lot of kids. The bottom portion was quieter. You're closer to the bathrooms, and it's a limited seating. And I preferred that. But for sleeping, if you have the bottom car, it's very easy because, one, you actually have footrests that actually prop out like it's a lazy
boy.
Lazy boy.
Right, yeah.
And you actually have plugs or outlets for every seat. So if you want to, plug in your laptop or any of those electronic devices, you have that. And then they have a Wi-Fi station where you can have Wi-Fi. Then they have a movie room playing movies. But then you go into the dining car where they actually have chefs on the train, and it's legit food. It's not like, Marie Callender's frozen meals. It was like filet mignon and mashed potatoes and a glass of wine. Like it was really, really relaxing. And the price, you couldn't beat it.
I was going to say, and you definitely can't have wine while you're driving.
No.
And was it, there's a lot of people that were saying, it's really, the auto train was expensive or this, that, and the other. Do you think it was rather pricey to take your car down with you in the auto train?
I mean, if you look logistically wise, and this is where I'm a very meticulous person. And so I added it all up compared to hotel rooms, gas that I was going to pay for, racking up the mileage on my car, the stress that I was not going to have mentally, compared to the airplane, and knowing that I'm not going to have layovers in an airport. I'm not going to be stuck there due to weather. And even if I did get stuck on a train, everything is there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to me, not just financially, but economically, ergonomically, everything, it was more conducive for my situation to just maybe pay an extra $100 than I would have than a flight, and then try to pay for a rental car, and then pay for the insurance of the car and all that stuff. So it just, when I had, I guess, planned that out a few years ago, it made a lot more sense. And, I had to break everything down, and it was good.
And I think you make a very good point. You do kind of have to break it down from an idea of overall cost. You have to compare apples to apples and not apples to oranges. You have to figure out what your time is worth, how much is it going to cost you by plane, by train, by car, combinations, accounting for things like Uber or other transportation. I think that all makes a lot of sense. I will tell you this. I do think that, if you account for some Uber fares in there, I think it would actually, you would actually get a really good idea of, those types of extra costs if you're not taking the auto train with your own vehicle in it. But at the same time, it could be rather reasonable. Or if you wanted to spend a little bit more, I am sure that there are some town car services that would also do that. But I think most cases, Ubers are going to be just fine for you and your daughter. I've never had a problem with Uber.
Okay.
So I was really, I'll be honest with you, I was skeptical about Ubers and stuff like that until my wife and I did a couple. I did one with my son last year. Not a single problem. Okay, so we've kind of talked about where you're, like, when, possibly where. We've talked about how you're going to get down there. We've talked a little bit about some of the things to do. Do you think that you and your daughter are you and your daughter the kind of pair that, you know, love to attack the parks, and do you anticipate attacking the parks, you know, all four of them, you know, and want to park hop and this, that, and the other? I mean, are you real, you know, dedicated to that sort of thing of grabbing those particular attractions, etc.?
Well, I've used the hopper passes and I've used the base passes. I don't know if the military still does that. I know before they had, you know, the 4 hopper passes or the 4 base passes, and I didn't use the hopper. To me, it was just irrelevant to my situation. And me and my daughter would just do 1 park a day,
Mm-hmm.
and it just suited us for our needs. I do need, you know, the capabilities and abilities to be able to rest, just because of my conditions. And so hopping and trying to rush over from one park to another just isn't for me.
Okay. And that makes a lot of sense, to know what you want to do and how you want to do it, right from the get-go. It'll save you time. It'll save you money because you don't need hopper tickets. It'll save you frustration. So I'm definitely with you on there. And also I will say that if you stay at a resort like Animal Kingdom Lodge, there's so many nice relaxing things that you and your daughter can do.
Good.
That, you know, quite honestly, it can act as that nice little, you know, little Shangri-La during the middle of the day to kind of regenerate for the evening.
I can use that.
Yeah, I think that works out great. That's a great idea. Now, so here, as you know, we can't talk about trip planning, you know, unless we're going to talk about food. I mean, seriously.
Food is my second name.
Food is your second name. So I guess with that said, are you the kind of family that do the dining plan?
We did use it last vacation, and it was very convenient. I loved it.
Okay.
And I loved my free drink, let me tell you. having that adult beverage was like the icing on the icing on the icing. So okay. it was that one little touch. I'm like, oh, this just made my day. We went to Cinderella's
the Cinderella Roll
park. That restaurant. And it was when he told, because that was the very first time ever using the dining package. Okay. And so the gentleman was the cast member was going over, and he's like, oh, you get an adult beverage. I said, oh, how much is that? He's like, it's complimentary for your dining plan. I'm like, oh, how many? He's like, oh, just one.
It's like all magic has a price. It's like, oh, that's
like, man. So cool. And I said, so is this just the one free one I get for the whole time? He's like, no, you get one for every adult sit down meal. I said, oh, okay. So like for lunch and, dinner. So that was really nice.
Okay. And that's really cool. I myself have not been a part of the dining plan in a while. Mainly because it doesn't necessarily make sense for my family. I'm glad that it seems like this definitely worked out for you, especially since, when they first started offering the adult beverage, with some of the table service locations, etc. The interesting part is that we know that they also increased the price around the same time to kind of accommodate for that a little bit. And okay. The thing is that Danny and I talked about it, and the interesting part is that we kind of came up with the idea that if you're going to enjoy that kind of adult beverage, it pretty much helps make it a wash. It helps add that value, because the typical adult beverage is going to be $8 to $10 easy.
Right.
So it makes it more, reasonable, to do. So are you thinking about doing the dining plan again with you and your daughter this trip, or do you think you're going to do it a little differently?
Possibly, with the dining plan, you kind of have to plan it out,
Right.
Not just reserve the places, but you need to know where you want to go and the time frames. So I don't know if I just want to wing it, because I don't mind winging it either.
Mm-hmm.
But I just need to make sure that I budget the food accordingly.
Sure.
And this is just where I guess the military comes into play, where I'm scheduled.
Yes.
But, I have to be on almost like a regiment of, this is what's going to go down. Now, if we veer away from that, that's okay. But I just need to make sure that we at least hit the major points of food, bathrooms, and fast passes, I guess.
Now, how old was your daughter the last time you went? Was she
know? She's 10. No, yeah, 10.
Okay. So she was already charged as an adult for the dining plan before. Okay. Just wanted to make sure, because Mary actually brought it up, saying, the 10-year-old, oops. Well, Wendy also brings up that there's also the counter service meal plan, which is something to consider. But Mary was also mentioning that, your daughter would be considered as an adult. I find it interesting right after I said it. Your daughter will be charged as an adult.
I'll take her drink.
You'll take her drink. There you go. That is, of course, unless she decides that she wants the, I guess you can get a smoothie or a specialty non-alcoholic.
I always lucked out on that.
Oh, that's pretty funny. Now, the interesting part is that, did you think that your daughter found value in having the dining plan as an adult? I mean, did she enjoy eating as an adult, I guess I should say?
Yeah. I think I don't think she knew the difference, actually. She's not much of an eater. She really isn't.
You see, I think that's where, did she eat off of kids' meals, or is she more of a light eater off an adult menu?
A lot of the places we had were buffets. Okay. So like the Cinderella, I don't remember the restaurant, but that one, the park, the one in the Grand Floridian.
1900 Park Fair.
That's it. That one, and what was the other buffet? I mean, a lot of them were, I think every single one we went to were buffets. I don't know if my travel agent set it up that way, because my daughter is picky, but she also has a rare disease, and so when she's having a flare up, I don't know, but the dining plan was good, but I don't know if we do it again.
I would probably say this. Obviously, it was one of those cases, I think, for you. You found a lot of convenience in it. And like you said, it caused you also to be very, very structured in,
mm-hmm.
you know already that you have to pretty much get some of those heavy hitters at 6 months out, 180 days.
Right.
And, and the interesting part is that, it's always hard to plan out 6 months. You don't know how you're going to feel about what you want to eat 6 months out. I realize there could be some debate in this particular recommendation, but I would probably say you've tried it with the dining plan. You might want to consider without the dining plan this next time. And maybe even compare it a little bit in a sense of, you could still be structured. You could still be, really rigid in your timing. You can plan it out. You can still get those ADRs at 6 months. That's really not a problem. But you can say, later, if you decide not to do something, you can always cancel with, a day ahead of time or something like that and change your plans. Probably a little bit easier, especially if you want to try, a quick service that is a little bit different, a little bit, maybe a little bit lighter, depending on what both your moods are.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That would be something I would probably say to consider. Also, if nothing else, you get to take a look at how it really fit for you. We always say everybody does Disney differently. And sometimes in order to do things differently, you have to try different ways of doing things between trips. Right. This may be something for you to consider. But obviously, if you think that you're going to hit buffets, you're going to usually get a better value having that dining plan than saying if you're going to use it at, Beaches and Cream or something like that. Something that's really cheap out of pocket anyway. So I guess you and your daughter would have to sit down and say, what do you want to try this time around for your dining experiences? Mm-hmm. So definitely something to consider. Did it work well along the lines of snacks and everything else like that? Did you have a lot of snacks left over at the end, or did you find that you kind of, paced it out pretty well throughout your trip?
I think we paced it out, but I also didn't know I had extras. I also didn't know that I got a free complimentary souvenir cup at the resort. Mm-hmm. Nobody told me this when I got to the resort.
Oh, gee.
So,
I said, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, nobody told us until the last day. Like, as we were leaving, I inquired about it, and they said, oh, yeah, that's free for you. I'm like, I wish somebody had told me this. So, I have the souvenir cups now, but it was just nice to have it. But, yeah, we would get the snacks even at the resort, the quick grab and goes and things like that. So, it worked out.
Okay.
I don't think I had much left over. I used the remaining balance for things for the road trip.
Oh, well, I can see where that would make a lot of sense, taking into consideration you had a train ride going home. So, yeah, that would make sense. Here you are taking the train ride back up north and eating a Mickey Rice Krispie treat. That would be my idea of like, I'm just going to stretch this out another day. Chomp. I could see where it would happen really well. Oh, that's fabulous. So we've talked about food. I will ask you this though. During your last trip, what were some of your favorites and what some of your daughter's favorite places to eat when you were there last?
We really liked, and I'm going to mess up the name again, and you've said it probably 3 times already, the Cinderella's 1900
Park Fair.
Yeah, that one. I have a terrible memory. But we really enjoyed not only the food, but just the entertainment. Having Cinderella come out, and then the evil stepmother and the Grisella and Drizella, and it was a lot of fun. And Cinderella and the prince had their dance, and it was just a lot of fun.
Danny really liked that one too. Danny really liked that one as well. He said that like everybody else was getting desserts, and he got another piece of prime rib or something like that. It was pretty funny because he doesn't like desserts.
They did have a very good selection too. It wasn't just the standard grilled chicken sorry, my dog is looking at me. He's about to bark. I have a husky, so I'm surprised he hasn't said anything yet.
You're talking about food. He's like, what food?
Yeah, he heard food. But they had more I guess you could say elegant buffet for adults.
Sure.
And more of the children's food for the children, macaroni and cheese, pizza, chicken tenders, things like that.
Absolutely. I did go there a couple times and enjoyed it both times. Just extraordinarily good food. I'm going to have, now I think about it, I'm going to have to try it again sometime soon. So we've talked about the main areas, about where you can possibly stay, when to go, everything else like that. What are some concerns that you have? What are some things that, some questions that you might have that might not necessarily fall into the typical trip planning categories? These would be questions that would be kind of specific to you, and maybe some of our listening audience would also have some input, maybe even be able to share some of their experiences as well.
Sure. Well, one thing, this one's not really a question, but it's more of an enlightened information for anybody. So I don't know if some of you are familiar with the disability services that Disney has at guest services. I was not aware of this, and the reason why I'm bringing this up because it was a lifesaver for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a complete lifesaver. I I used it because I have trouble standing for long periods of time. I get very weak. And when I say flare ups, I won't elaborate on what those are, but I still try to maintain my life, but I just need breaks, and I can't stand in the heat for very long.
Sure.
So when I spoke to a cast member, they said, go back to, guest services, talk about disability services, fill out the information. They'll ask you a few questions. They'll see if you are eligible or not. And I was eligible. And so getting that tacked on to, I guess, my tickets or my fast passes or my magic bands
right.
was amazing. Now you get one disability service pass at a time, but that's including the fast passes. So you can still have your 3 fast passes and have a disability services added as well.
Mm-hmm. Right. You can
still add more fast passes, but you only use one disability services at a time. But right. It was just. Yeah. It was really amazing.
You can stack those, and those are the only times that you can do that is, you can have one in between this, that, and the other. And it really is kind of I don't want to say at the mercy of the availability of fast passes for that day. But in essence, that really what it comes down to is that, you actually, like Mary said, you go to the ride and you get a return time with the
right.
disability pass service. And I know there's a lot of people that actually use that, and it works out. Did it help you in the sense of what you and your daughter both wanted to do, and to do it in such a way that helps you really enjoy the parks?
Oh yeah, I mean for Avatar,
mm-hmm.
we didn't wait in line. It was really nice. We got to go in and enjoy it without having to stand in the very long line or try to schedule fast passes but I had fast passes for anything else, and I didn't even get to do the fast passes for that, but I was able to use it for the disability portion, and it worked out really well.
Oh, that's really good. And thanks for sharing that, because I mean, I have a few friends of mine, people I know, I should say, that have used the previous version of the disability service. But I've not heard it firsthand from somebody. I mean, I've heard it talked about on Facebook groups, etc., but I've not heard firsthand from somebody who's actually have really used it, to their advantage. And I'm really glad that it worked out that way. I just think that just helps bring the magic back to, a long day, so to speak. Especially.
Oh yeah. And it's not just privy to people with physical conditions. It's also for mental. If somebody who has, let's say, really bad anxiety or panic attacks, things like that, or for whatever reason, you can use it for that too. You just have to speak to the cast member and let them know, this is what I have. I'm claustrophobic, whatever it is. I can't stand in line. I mean, whatever it is, you just let them know. 9 times out of 10, they're going to approve you to have it. And it's good for 14 days, I think, or longer, or 3 months.
Right.
It stays on your band until it expires and you have to reapply.
That's good. That's good to know. What are some other questions that you had? I know that you and I talked a little bit as well earlier.
Just in regards to using the Disney Chase Premier credit card, I've actually never had a credit card before. I've really held off my whole adult life from ordering one. But in order, to build my credit a little faster, I felt like, well, let me get a credit card. So I got this. How do I understand the gist of it, but I've spoken to a few people and they say, you can use your points for gifts. Now, does the cast member know to take the points from your card to apply it to the gifts, or how does that work?
That's a great question. And I think a lot of people don't understand, how to use, they don't necessarily know how to use the Chase Visa, Disney Visa to its fullest extent. So I also have a Premier card, and just to let you know, and for everybody else's sake, they have two versions of the card. They have a free card. It's no annual fee, and basically, you get basically 1% back on pretty much all purchases type of thing, and I think 2% on Disney stuff. And the Premier card pretty much doubles that for the non-Disney items, and so you get 2% back. And I know there are other cards out there that do better along the lines of rewards. I am a charter card member with them. I've had it for years, and so this is how you do it, especially as someone that's just building it up. So think of it this way. As you go and you make purchases and you pay it off, you earn these Disney dollars. And you can actually find out how many Disney dollars you have through the Chase website, because that's how I pay my bills, is I go onto the Chase website and look it online. And after you get at least 10 Disney rewards dollars available, which basically means you have to spend like $1,000, you can get that $10 of reward points put on a redemption card. And basically what it is that it basically looks like a credit card, but it's in essence a type of debit card that you put your Disney rewards dollars on there, and you can use that pretty much anywhere at the parks where they accept credit cards. Mm-hmm. And you can use it for meals. You can use it to pay your room balance. You can use it for snacks. You can pretty much use it anywhere where you can like charge to your room, so to speak. You can go ahead and use that as well. What we usually do is I usually pay with the amount of dollars I usually have on it. I'll pay for like 1 or 2 meals. Plus I'll use it to like, hey, you want a snack? Hey, you want popcorn? Hey, you want a soda? And you just swipe it, and it acts as our mad money. And on your receipt, it'll show you how many dollars you have left. Rewards dollars. Oh, okay. So you generally have an idea, and unlike some places, you can tell them, listen, I don't know if I have enough to pay for it with this. They'll go ahead. They'll swipe it. They'll take whatever off the card, and then you can pay the balance with some other format. So you can drop it down to 0, and you could refill that card over and over again. You just have to have a minimum of $10 to put over into it at one time. I usually do this. Since you don't have the redemption card yet, I usually wait until about 6 weeks before my trip. And what I do is I'll go ahead and I'll submit for my redemption card with only $10 on it. I'll get the card, and now that I have the card, I will go back into my account, and right before my trip, I will transfer whatever Disney rewards I've earned and put it on the card right before I go.
That makes sense. And I was just about to ask you that, how to know when to get that card.
Yeah, I do it about 6 to 8 weeks beforehand. And they don't have it right now. They changed it so they don't have an expiration date, and I think you can get 1 card per year. So if for some reason you misplace it, don't worry about it. You can always get another one. The nice part is that if for some reason you still have Disney Rewards, a Disney Rewards card balance, you can use it at like the Disney Store or Disney Store online. So you can still use it even if you're not in the parks, just by using it online. So it works that way too.
That's great.
I use my card for everything, but here is the biggest thing I want everybody to understand. I am not a fan of debt. My cards get paid off 100% every single month. Do not carry a balance in that card, period, ever. And I say that not just to you, but I say that to everybody. It's great to earn that free money, but 1 month worth of interest can kill off a lot of your redemptions if you don't play a credit. So I treat my credit cards as cash. In fact, it reminds me I have to pay my bills. Anyway, so
that's just one of those things. Don't let that happen. The other part to it is that, let's say that you take advantage of a 0% offer for a Disney vacation. Mm-hmm. The key thing is this. Let's say you charge $2,000 for your Disney vacation, and that's a part of that 0%. And you charge other money first, other money as well. I would probably say make sure you pay off your full balance plus some towards that 0%. Make a little bit of payments on it. I did that in the past. I had no problem avoiding any interest whatsoever. Nowadays, I know that if you work with certain travel agents, you can actually do it a little differently. You can, if you don't want to worry about that sort of thing, you put down your deposit, and then even like once a month, you put down another chunk down towards it, pay it off, put another chunk down, pay it off, put another chunk down, pay it off. A lot of agents will go ahead and do that for you as long as it's paid for in full within a certain period of time.
Right.
And so I just personally believe that, treat it as cash. It will help you build up your credit, like what you're trying to do. And after a while, you'll get those points. I use mine for groceries. I use mine for gas. Seriously, I don't carry cash, but everything goes on that card. But I do keep a mental stand of what I've spent, so that at the end of the month, I just go online to chase.com and I just pay it off right out of my checking account. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
That makes complete sense. It really does. It
really does. Now I will. Christine, I'll tell you, this is what some people can do. She says, I've bought myself a Disney Doonie with my rewards. So now that's dedication to the rewards program. That's cool. Now I will also tell you this: if you can do this, I think it's something to consider. I think personally it is safer to travel using your credit card than with your debit card. So when you want to put something down for your incidentals at the resort or a rental car or anything else like that, or even like for like on your Uber account to have things charged to, have it go to your credit card. The reason why I say that, if for some reason you have any problems along the lines of fraud or theft or anything else like that, they're basically stealing the credit card, which isn't tied to your bank account. And therefore, it's, you still have to go through the rigmarole of getting it fixed later.
Right.
But they're not playing with your real cash.
Right.
So that's my take. And there are some people that argue with me about that all the time. My thing of it is, hey, if you steal my credit card and you try to be fraudulent with it, you're screwing around with somebody else's money. Don't screw around with my money. So that's kind of the way I look at that.
I do want to caveat off of that. So that actually happened to me last vacation when we were in Disney.
Oh, wow.
My bank account got hacked.
Oh.
Yeah, it was awful. Awful. They took everything out. And when I called the bank, they said, I'm sorry, we have to close your account. And again, remember, I didn't have a credit card. Yep. I didn't have credit cards.
Yep.
So what I had to do, I actually went to the desk of the Pop Century. I explained to the manager because I was in tears.
Yeah.
I was just almost to the point of hyperventilating because I didn't know what to do.
Right.
And I explained the situation. I still had some money left over in the savings. So the bank told me, go to the ATM around the corner, withdraw all of your money, which I did. So I had all this cash in my wallet. Yeah, it was awful. And I went back, told the manager, I said, this is what happened. She's like, okay, don't worry about paying off the balance, of, whatever I charged the room, whether it was drinks or toys or, whatever we get at the parks.
Yeah. And
they actually just sent me a voucher through the mail just to pay it off that way, which they were very accommodating. It was really nice.
Well, so, that's magic. To be honest, for them to be, accommodating in a situation that really sucked. I mean, that's
they were
great.
amazing. But here's the really awful part. My wallet was stolen a week after this incident happened.
Oh no.
When I was back home.
Yeah.
So guess what was in my wallet, and guess what I had not gotten back yet?
All your cash.
All my cash. And guess who does not replace cash?
Mm-hmm.
The banks, because they can't verify how much money was actually in my wallet, even though they're the ones that told me to take out my money. And I had all the receipts. I said, this is all, everything that I've spent my money on in the last few days. I still had hundreds of dollars left in my wallet. Sorry, we can't help you. We can't verify how much was in your wallet. So I was literally out hundreds of dollars right after I retired out of the military. Let me tell you, it was awful.
Hey everybody, it's Mr. Chris, and I just want to take a moment to thank Pam for her time tonight on the show. Unfortunately, while we were just getting ready to close up the shop for the night, unfortunately I lost connectivity, I lost my microphone, and I lost what's left of the show. But I just wanted to go ahead and say thank you, Pam, for letting us take a moment to really help you out with your vacation, and we hope that you have an absolutely magical time. And with that said, we hope that you follow us all over our social media pages, over at Facebook, over at the Behind Yours Podcast Facebook page, over at the WDW community page, over at Instagram and Twitter. And don't forget, if you would like to email us, feel free to do so over at behindyourspodcast@gmail.com. Well, once again, thank you so much for being part of the show tonight. Thank you for dealing with the technical difficulties, and I guarantee we're going to be getting those worked out. But thank you so much for being with us tonight, and we hope you have an absolutely magical day. Take care.